Hey everybody, long time no see. Steve here. Just kidding. I've finally gotten a moment where I've been able to catch my breath, and I had a little bit of a break here, so I actually have the weekend off. Today's Saturday, and I'm able to do a quick little update video. So I got here on the 26th of April. So since my last update, I told you I'm in training right now with ATI, Air Transport International. So I'm going through first officer upgrade right now, going through training, and I'm working to get type rating in the 757 and 767. They do dual type rating. So the way it works is like I got my tickets, I got my air transport pilot. Got my single engine land, all the different ratings like that. I've got what I need to be an airline pilot. The next thing is they train you on the airplane that you're going to be flying, and then you get a type rating on it, meaning you've been trained on that airplane, and that's good for the rest of your life. So I'm really excited about it, and the more I learn about this airplane, the more excited I'm getting. So. I came here for 10 days. On the 3rd of April, stayed 10 days for Indoc training. So they give you the basics. Here's the way we operate here. Some basic survival training, fire extinguisher training, slides, things like that. And gave us what we needed, some equipment, a laptop, or not a laptop, but an iPad. They gave us some basic briefings, set us up with all the links and everything else that we need to operate, and they sent us home. So I go home for about 2 weeks. I think it was just maybe a shade over 2 weeks, and they gave us a whole bunch of computer-based training on the systems on the airplane. So we had to learn all of that, and then while we were there. Doing that also, they would have daily team meetings, Microsoft Team, and they'd come on, and some captains would come on and instructors and would walk us through the systems and talk about, here's what you need to know, here's the big picture, here's the airplane, the systems, and ask us some basic questions and things like that to kind of help guide our study, which is really good. The training here has been phenomenal. So we went through that, went through all those CBTs, and then the next big thing that they teach you is flows. So there's certain triggers that get you going. Okay, all right, now we just landed, that we taxied off the runway, and the captain calls for the flaps up. Now there's 10 things I have to do, and I have to go around. You have to memorize all that. So there's pre-flight flow. There's a before starting. Engines checklist flow, there's a starting engines checklist flow, there's a before taxi flow, all of the flows, after landing flow, plus there's checklists when you're up in the air and down. So you have to memorize that, practice all that. So we got into that a little bit. Then I came back here on the 26th, and the next day I had it was like a preparatory briefing. So the instructor sat us down and asked us some questions. Hey, just to kind of get a sense for where we were. And if we didn't do very well, then they'd give us another one, But me and my partner both did fine. And then the next day we had an oral exam. So the evaluator, the APD, I don't know what that stands for. It's a check pilot, basically. Took us in the other room. One at a time, and for 2.5 hours asked us questions. And what does this button do? What does this light mean? Okay, if I go here and this happens, how does that affect this system and that? And so you take everything you learned over the last 2 weeks and kind of make sense of it and put it in context, and then he would ask you about it to get a sense for your understanding of systems. So that's a check ride. I mean, that's a check, an oral check, and if you don't pass, you don't go on, and it's not good. So there's a little bit of pressure there. So I studied for that, got ready for that. I did fine on that, me and my partner both. And then the next thing after that is SITs, so scenario systems integration training is what it is. So you sit down and they have a mock-up of the cockpit, and they have computer screens, touch computer screens with all the instrument panels. So you can touch on the flat screen, and it's like a pretend button there, and it'll come on. And we would do checklist and practice checklist and flows, and take off and fly around a little bit. And then and then the next thing you got to learn is instrument approaches. What are the call outs, they call them. So when I get to this point and the captain says this, I have to tell him this, and there's back and forth with checklist, and when you see this on the instrument approach, you're supposed to say this, and when you see this, you're supposed to say this. So you have to memorize all that too. So there's a lot of knowledge and stuff that's getting crammed into my brain, and I said this before. When you stop learning, you start dying, and I want to challenge myself, and this has been a challenge. This has been a big challenge. Getting the gears and dusted off and everything else. But me and my partner have done very well going through all the procedures and everything else, and have gotten some good feedback from the instructors. Feeling pretty good. So I had my 5th and last sit training, sit on yesterday, on Friday. So we had weekend off, which is kind of nice. The weekend, such as it is, it's just all a big blur, this week, and like last week I had a sim on Sunday. So it's 7 days a week from 6 in the morning till they train till I think 10 at night. I think there's even more training after that in the evening. Anyway, so Monday I start my first simulator training, and this is a full motion simulator. And we're actually going to get in there and fly. And it's fairly close. I've heard the airplane flies easier than the sim, which is good. You'd rather have that than the other way around. So we're going to practice flying and working emergencies and checklists and emergency checklist and getting that and practice. So we got 9 of those. And then I have a type ride, they call it, which is a check ride. So you get in the sim, they'll have a checked out qualified pilot in the left seat, and you'll fly around, and typically they do a canned profile from JFK to Boston, and is usually the profile. You take off, bad weather, you have to come back. There's some sort of emergency. You have to come back around. They do an ILS, an instrument landing system approach. So that allows you to land in the weather. So the scary thing is, it's not scary. It's pretty cool. But in the C-17, when I flew in the Air Force, we could fly down on an ILS. There's a 200-foot decision altitude where by 200 feet, you have to be able to see the runway. And if you don't see the runway, you go around. And some of you have probably flown commercial and have had that happen sometimes, or if the winds are out, if you're not stable, they'll go around. I've had that happen once on a commercial flight, and the whole cabin, all the passengers, everybody gets real quiet. They're like, what happened there? It's just, he wasn't safe. You don't want him trying to save a bad landing, so he took it around. So 200 feet, if you don't see the runway, you go around. In the C-17, we were also qualified to fly Cat 2 approaches, which is based on a radio altimeter. So it shoots little radio beams to the ground. It tells you how high you are from the ground. So it comes all the way down and to 100 feet. And that one, I've done one of those in all my years flying C-17. I've done one actual Cat 2 ILS, and that was crazy. We were landing in Germany. That was a no kidding Cat 2, and it was sporty getting down. This plane is a Cat 3 ILS approach, which means basically you hook the autopilot up, and the autopilot flies down and lands, and you have an alert height, and you may see the runway. You might not. You probably will at the last second, but the plane's doing the landing. And any of you that ever flown in really bad weather coming in, you probably flown on it in a Cat 3 ILS, which is, it's crazy when you think about it, sitting in the front, not seeing the plane automatically lands, auto lands. Great system. I'm going to be flying the 767 with ATI, and really excited about it. I'm really looking forward to get checked out, flying missions, usually gone about 2 weeks at a time. And usually flying, and their main customer is Amazon, so they'll be moving Amazon packages from the big center ports they have, the big warehouses they have. So they'll come in and they'll consolidate everything that people are shipping, and then they'll load it all up, and hey, all of this stuff is going to Seattle, and we'll fly to Seattle, offload it, kind of like FedEx does. So that's the future. That's what I'm going to be doing. So still super excited. Great people, great instructors. I mean, the training's been phenomenal. Good partner I have, and all the guys that I went through Indoc class with. We had a class of 19, which is a big class, and we all of those guys are good guys. It's all guys. There was no females in our class, but there are females that work for the company, female pilots, and they're all good guys. And since I've came here for training, they've already had another class come through, Indoctrination, another 11, which is good because the way the airlines work is seniority. So the more people you have below you, the better trips you get to pick. So I'm all for it. I hope they keep hiring. So that's things move pretty quick. The upgrade time's pretty quick too, from what I hear. So I may be upgrading the captain here in a couple of years or less. So I'm feeling after this sim so far, I've been feeling pretty good. It's just been a good experience, great experience, and I miss the ravishing Mrs. Ritter, of course, and I'm here in training, and it falls over our 30th anniversary. So I owe her a great trip here when I get done with this training, and a whole bunch of flowers. So, but everything's going well. I just want to give you all an update. I was going to say quick update, but this is 12 minutes so far, ticking off. So anyway, if you have any questions about what I'm doing or anything, just leave a note below. And I'm sorry it's been so long since I've posted something. I've been a little busy. So, but look forward to hearing from you all, and appreciate your prayers and everything else. So, and we'll see you next update.